Good evening, my brothers and sisters, and welcome to another episode of A Word with Pastor Webb. I'm your host, Pastor Webb, and we have a very special guest this evening, Miss Lashea Reaves, the Executive Director of 8 Cents in a Jar. I said 8 Cents in a Jar. Please help me to salute and celebrate my friend and sister, Lashea.
Yay.
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited.
How was the drive?
The drive was 1 hour and 29 minutes, but it was worth every minute.
Did you drive by yourself?
No, I have my lovely husband here with me, Reaves.
Okay,
so
okay.
Shout out to him.
Oh, shout out to him. Okay, so much love in that.
Indeed,
All
yes.
right. Well, we're not going to prolong the time. What's your story, and tell me, how did you grow up?
Oh, wow. So this is where it all began. So for me, poverty was a big part of my life.
Okay.
So at 14, my 2-year-old sister was diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
In addition to that, during that same year, my mother passed away unexpectedly,
Wow.
6 days before Christmas.
Wow.
So we rely 100% on public assistance.
Okay.
So Medicaid, Medicare, Section 8, all of that.
Wow.
And when we went to the doctor both times with my sister and then even with my mom, they ignored everything they had to say because they had the Medicaid card. So with my mom, took her, she fell. She was like, she's having a headache. Took her to the hospital. The nurse on duty said, you know what? I don't want to treat poor people right now, especially people
Whoa.
of color. And didn't catch her aneurysm, so she died at 37. So through that, in the system, out of the system, lived with distant relatives.
Wow.
My dad was on drugs and,
Wow.
just in and out of homes until I graduated high school. So that was my life.
All right. So look at you now.
Yes.
Wow, wow, wow. Now give me 3 words that best describe who you are and why.
I would definitely have to say intentional.
Intentional.
I learned at an early age, you have to be an active participant in your life. I literally learned that in 6th grade. So from 6th grade moving forward, I was always intentional about the choices that I made, making sure it aligned with where I wanted my life to be. So that would definitely be 1. 2, vibrant. Like, I love to live. And sometimes people, I think they get so caught up in routines,
Right.
they forget to be an active participant in life and live. So definitely vibrant, because I love to, see, smell, taste colors, different cultures, and that's a big part of me. 3rd, I would definitely say a geek.
A geek?
Yes. So I am huge on computer games, but in addition,
Okay.
I just love to learn. So with learning, I'm always going down a rabbit hole of just information. I may use it, I may
Okay.
not, but it's always there. So those are definitely some words that would describe me. You said 5 though, right?
3.
3. Okay, so
But if you got 5, let's go. Keep going. Give me 2 more.
So I give you 2 more. So definitely family oriented.
Okay. Okay.
So I love my family.
Okay.
I love to push my family, although they
Okay.
may not like it always, all the
Okay.
time. So I would definitely say that. And then the last one, I have to do this. I'm a rattler. Like
You had to do that.
I had to, definitely FAMU. If it wasn't for FAMU, I would not have the life that I have today. So
right.
that definitely describes me.
All right. We forgive you too. Well, what are some of your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun?
So this is an interesting question, right?
Uh-huh.
So I tell people what my hobbies are, and they was like, this ain't a hobby. So I love finance, like finance and spreadsheets. That is fun.
Wow.
So I'm a morning person.
Okay.
Wake up every morning at 4:38 a.m. and I will
4:30
4:38
a.m. Oh,
Yes,
wow.
a.m. Definitely a morning person.
Wow.
So anything related to that, I do find fun, although my family may think it's work, but it relaxes me. Going back to computer games, it allows me to just, zone out.
Okay.
And then the 3rd one, I would definitely have to say travel. So it don't have to be, very far. Sometimes just, traveling within your own neighborhood, you uncover new things.
Okay. 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 Now tell me about 8 cents in a jar.
Ooh.
What is that?
So 8 cents in a jar. I have to say this. We are an award-winning nonprofit devoted to helping students in marginalized communities
Okay.
in underrepresented areas learn how to save money,
Okay.
acquire assets, and build wealth.
Okay.
Just those 3 things. And so what we're really trying to do is diminish generational poverty.
Okay.
You know, it's funny, in the state of Florida, in the U.S., there's a big component on education. You know, we have to educate our students.
Right.
But as soon as you turn 18, you're now the age of majority and you're on your own.
Right.
So between birth up until you turn 18, there isn't a true foundation of financial life skills.
Okay.
And, you know, as a society, we wait for individuals to make mistakes, then give them the tools to learn.
Right.
So why not teach them early? So why not teach them as young as 8, where we can look at students who do, you know, come from welfare, i.e. like I was,
Right.
and there's a way for that path
Right.
where they don't have to be on welfare within the system again. So that's what we do.
All right. But in your professional opinion, what causes generational poverty?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would definitely say access, education, and knowledge.
Okay.
When we think about the financial systems, when we would think about money and how it's derived, even how the Social Security Act came about, access was a barrier that people did not have access to half those things.
Right.
So access to accounts, access to knowledge, access to education.
Okay.
And so with that, going back to as soon as you turn 18, you're an adult. In poverty communities, especially in communities of color, if you're on public assistance, that is what you're teaching your children. And so as you teach it to them, then that's what they know, and then that's why that cycle continues to go on. And even knowledge. So I use knowledge because if you don't know, you don't know, right?
Right.
But then also, you know, people say, well, we have the internet, like you can look things up,
Right.
but how do you know if it's true or if it's correct?
Correct.
Or, you
Right.
know, what is false and what is true? You don't.
Right.
So you still need to have that guidance through knowledge to understand, okay, this is the standard, and then from the standard, how I can go and achieve this. So even with our students with 8 cents in a jar, we have a lot of parents and grandparents who stay with their students because they're trying to learn this information early on.
Perfect.
And what we're realizing is just because you turn 18 doesn't mean that you've realized you do have access to that information, but then access to the financial instruments you need in order to combat financial literacy and also generational poverty.
All right. Now, I hear a lot of young folks talking about generational wealth. Do you think they really understand what that means?
I think it sounds nice.
Yes, it sounds nice, yes.
I think it's definitely the flavor of the month, but you have to be intentional.
Right.
I think there's definitely a difference between being rich and being wealthy.
Right.
I think what our students and what our younger generation see is the richness of it.
Right.
So what's flashy, what can I wear?
Right.
Richness, you know, symbolizes what I drive. But when we're talking about wealth, there are various components to wealth. Financial wealth, health and wellness, physical
Right.
wellness, physical wealth. And all of those, you know, bring about the dimensions of wealth and what generational wealth is truly and should be about.
Right, right. Now I see that you, looking at your resume, you graduated from FAMU. FAMU. Now tell me about your moments at FAM, your time at FAM. Was it fun? Talk about it.
You know, FAMU was just a life-changing moment. So,
Okay.
like I said, because of my background, I really wasn't accepted into school at all. And so I have friends, so shout out to Carla Stanley and her family where she was going to FAM.
Okay.
And so I literally just caught a ride with them and, you know,
Wow.
put my stuff in my U-Haul. And while we were there, we stopped at a furniture store. So I bought a bed for $200 and literally went with her to Tallahassee.
Wow.
So I wasn't even accepted. So I'm like, okay, well, she's going to school and she started her summer semester.
Right.
I was like, well, let me go to the admissions office and just see what I can do.
Right.
And they told me no, like I didn't have the grades. I had like a 1.9, which they rounded it to a 2.0.
Right.
My SAT scores were low. And so it literally was like, I had to tell the admissions office, like, look, I know what it says about me on paper. I know what you may think of me, but really what I need is an opportunity and a chance to change my life because I have nowhere to go back home to.
Wow.
And so she was like, well, tell me about your parents. And so we were talking. She was like, well, technically you're the ward of the state since you haven't lived with your dad and your mom is
Wow.
deceased. So that's literally how I got
Okay.
accepted into FAM.
Wow, wow.
But then during FAM, like I got involved with the March of 100, so super excited about that. Got involved in my own
You was in
sense.
the band?
Yes.
Play what instrument?
So I did flat chord.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay,
So the Dirty Dozen.
I was gonna say that. You said the Dirty Dozen. Yes.
So definitely did that. But my freshman year, got pregnant.
Okay.
So ended up got pregnant, was going through domestic violence, living in a women's shelter. And it was literally like people from the band, like people at FAM, like who gave me resources. So they didn't give me like a handout, like they gave me the tools that I needed to do that.
Wow.
And then during that same time, my grandmother died of AIDS.
Wow.
My father went into hospice. He did not have life insurance, so I had to take out student loans to bury him.
Wow.
So with that, I ended up adopting my little sister,
Okay.
brought her with me to FAM because my dad ended up passing away.
Okay.
And so through there, that's where I really learned life and how to navigate life, but not just living, but how to prosper.
Wow.
And that's really where I found God too. So all of that, long story short, I graduated with honors with a degree in finance, economics, saved $10,000 my last 2 years, working 3 jobs, and was accepted to 7 financial institutions to work within the finance industry.
That's awesome. And you found the love of your life at FAM.
Yes, I did. I found my husband. Yes. So funny story, which he may not want me to share this.
You got to share it now.
Or he may have a different version. So when we met, I was just in a really tough place. And so he was taking me to church, right?
Okay.
I was like, I don't want to go to church. What is this? Like, who takes me on a date to church? Or, he was like very serious and, he was thinking about marriage and things like that. And that scared me.
Wow.
So we had to, break up for some time. And then I had to like really find my way first before I felt that I can be a wife to him. But after that, we ended up getting back together, got engaged and got married, been married ever since.
I like that. I love it. Now, who has been your biggest influence in life? Why and why?
Oh, I'm going to have to say this, definitely my aunt, Teresa Williams.
Okay.
And so, and I say this with love. So it's not, so I watched her life and watched how she worked extremely hard. And there's a difference between working smart and working hard.
Yes, it is.
And so I watched her up until retirement working 3 jobs. So waking up at like 5, not coming back home until midnight. And she was a caregiver to any and everybody who needed it, which is great. Right. But through her eyes, you can see the pain, the struggle, the hardship. So she was definitely one. And then as a bonus, I would have to say my grandfather. We called him B. And so he was also like that, just a caregiver. And everyone came to him for money. Everyone came to him for everything. And he got tired of us. I'm not even going to lie. He was like, I'm tired of y'all. Right. So I remember with me, he gave me $2,000 to fix my car while I was at college at FAM. Right. And I was like, can I pay you back? And he said no. He was like, the best way you can pay me back is so I don't have to worry about you. Amen. I said, okay, I can do that. And I've been doing it ever since. That's
awesome. All right. Talk about your background in diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yes. So it definitely still, started from finance. So my first job, I managed $22 million at 23 years old, working for Regions Bank, a consumer banking officer. Okay. And so through that, I had an opportunity to travel the Southeast. So definitely went to Alabama, Georgia, all the states in between within the Southeast. And I had an opportunity to just study extremely wealthy people. Okay. After that, I also worked at Charles Schwab where I managed $4 billion. Okay. So billion with a B. And what I realized was none of my clients looked like me at all. I also realized none of my colleagues looked like me. I was the only person under 50 and the only person that was of color. Right. And so, I'm learning all of these tricks. Like, what? You can do that with your money? Like, seriously? Right. And I was telling my colleagues, do you mind, coming with me to the Urban League and we can conduct a class? And they was like, no, there's no money in that. It doesn't benefit me. Right. So I realized, you know what? I don't need to be on the finance side. Let me now help other minorities get into this field where one, they can now be the advocate or they can also be the client. So with that, I transitioned to diversity, equity, and inclusion, where I now help underrepresented students, families, business owners have access to capital.
All right.
So.
Okay. Now, what advice would you give to young folks who want to go into your profession?
Oh, so this is the biggest thing I learned, like working with billionaires, managing multi-millions for families. You have to have written financial goals. And I'm going to say that again, written financial goals. So it's not enough to say I want to be rich or I don't want to have to worry about money. Specifically, what does that mean?
Yeah.
At what dollar amount does that equate to? Like, what intentional lifestyle do you want? And then you can use that and work backwards. And writing that down, it will literally guide you on where you want to go. So that would definitely be one piece of advice. Make sure you write down your goals and then put the financial figure that's associated with it. Okay.
And reading through your resume, I see you serve as a salary negotiation facilitator. What's that entail?
Yeah. So first of all, I didn't even know that existed. So let me be clear about that.
Right.
I had no idea, but again, just in the various sorts working in diversity and inclusion, and then also I worked in talent acquisition. So I was the person that decided how much money you made and what sign-on bonuses you had and all of that. So I remember I'm giving out offers, 100,000, 20,000 sign-on bonus, 10,000 in restricted stocks, right? And so for my women and people of color, I'm like, so tell me what you want. Like, what's your salary range? Like, what do you want? They was like, oh, well, I want 80, but I'll take 70. Like, why are you talking yourself out of $10,000?
Right.
And so through that, I started working with AAUW, the American Association of University Women.
Right.
And so through there, I became a salary negotiator facilitator. So what that means, I help individuals understand their negotiating power when it comes to salaries. Okay. Most people don't know that you can negotiate salaries. So when you graduate high school or college and you get a trade and you enter into the workforce, that is going to be your biggest gain of financial wealth. And then from there, it trickles if you don't do anything. Right. The average increase for a raise is 3%. The cost of living adjustment is 2.1%. So if you look at it, you only got 0.9% of an increase, which ain't nothing. So with that, I show individuals how to, one, research, what ranges are, how to look it up. Right. But then two, how to use everything within their power to quantify their skills into revenue. And so through that, just the first year I did it, I helped 15 women negotiate over $1 million more in compensation and benefits. Right. So been doing it ever since, and really it's just about knowing how to use your skills, understand the skills that you have, and quantifying them into a dollar value.
Okay, awesome. Now, if you had one wish, what would that be? Just one wish.
Just one wish.
Yes.
I thought about that, and I've been thinking about that, and that's the good one. So I would definitely have to say, literally right now, the one wish is for the state of Florida to allow students, to make it mandatory for students to take a financial education course.
I love that. Yes, and we need that. We need that.
And what's crazy, for 10 years, it's been, a bill on the floor, and for 10 years, it's been denied. Saying, no, there's money in poverty, and we don't want to lose that money in poverty.
Okay. Now, what are some of the early mistakes you made in life you had to overcome?
So some of the earlier mistakes I made in life was not understanding what fear was. Okay. So I think when people hear fear or, fear, I'm afraid to do this, and I'm afraid to do that. And I put myself in that, situation as well too. It was a lot of stuff I was afraid of doing and I never did at the time. Or I didn't understand the true power or, what determination can do for my life. So through that, I stayed in a lot of scenarios and situations I didn't have to. So definitely understanding that fear is not failure. And failure isn't permanent unless you want it to be. And so through each failure, we have to realize it's a lesson, it's an opportunity. Now you know not to do it that way, but then you can continue to explore other ways to do it until you get to a point that works.
All right, perfect. What is the one thing that some may know but others may not know about you? The one thing.
I am an introvert.
Introvert.
So listen, okay, so I'm gonna brag on myself. Like, I've won numerous awards. Like, for this year alone, I'm in Orlando Business Journal, top 40 under 40. I'm a community finalist for the African American Chamber of Commerce. I've been featured in CNBC this year. I've been featured in Forbes this year. The Orlando Solar Bears gave me an award during halftime, and I'm always, active and, involved in my community, various speaking engagements around many people. I am a homebody, y'all. People frighten me. I am such a homebody. So, like, let me be home, chilling on my couch,
Right.
Watching Netflix with my husband by my side, playing a computer game, and that's just life right there.
Right.
So I'm definitely an introvert.
Okay. Now, what is your biggest fear or biggest loss?
My biggest loss would definitely be losing my parents young. Yeah, I would definitely say that, and realizing like that was huge. But because I felt like I had to keep going, I minimized what it did to me or how it was.
Okay.
So that was definitely a biggest loss. And even fear, I think the biggest fear I have is not living up to the potential that God gave me.
Amen.
I did not grow up in a church.
Amen.
I didn't even know where Bibles came from. I only saw them when I went to hotels.
Oh, that's wrong.
I'm like, yeah, like who is Gideon? Like
Gideon.
I need to find Gideon because that's where you go to Bibles, right? But so since I've been saved, making sure that I live up to what God has given me the path to do.
Okay, what are you most proud of?
I'm proud of everything, right? Because how society has written, based upon where I grew up, where I lived, they have a calculation of I should have been dead. And I really should have been dead because I came close to being shot a couple of times.
Wow.
But not only did I survive, but I'm thriving.
Amen.
So looking back on everything that has happened to me, to now being where, my husband and I are, like this year we hit being millionaires. And it was like, what? We did it at 37 and 38. But, both of us have very traumatic childhoods, growing up in poverty, like things we had to overcome. And we overcame them.
Amen.
And so now we're helping other people who look like us, overcome those as well. So I'm very proud of that.
Excellent. Now, if you could trade places with one person, who would that be?
Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan.
Oh, hold on, time out. What you know about Shaka Khan? You too young to know about Shaka Khan.
Listen, being in marching band since middle school, I have band directors with an old soul. So Shaka Khan, Earth, Wind, and Fire. My favorite song is Reasons, right? The Commodores. Listen,
Stop.
you do that.
Be in church. Okay.
So just her life is fascinating.
Shaka
Her presence is absolutely amazing. So just to switch places with her and just to see the life through her lens would be absolutely amazing.
Wow, Shaka Khan. All right. Now, how has God played a role in your success?
Ooh, I don't know if we have enough time for that. So I will say this, like I said, did not grow up in church. Like I know I had friends that was like, your big mama, she take you to church.
Right.
Listen, my grandma had strawberry blonde hair with 7 piercings. So she was not like, I've never seen her in church. I've never seen my mom in church. We didn't even have their service in church, when they died.
Wow.
So that's how it was not a part of my life.
My Jesus.
But it wasn't until, again, at FAMU, I will never forget this. It was 2005. So it was when everything that I thought that I needed, everything that I had was literally at an end. So I was losing my apartment. I was like, I don't want to be homeless with my daughter. Like my piece of job was ending. And I remember taking a city bus and just going to every bank and every doctor's office just to try to get a job, and I didn't know how I was going to pay for school.
Right.
So in one day, I got a call from an apartment complex, Section 8, and they was like, hey, you've been approved.
Right.
You know, it was supposed to be a 2-year waiting list, but no one met the credentials, and you were like 98th on the list, and you got it. So here's the 2-bedroom apartment for you and your daughter, $91 a month. That was my rent. Then I got a call from my work study, because they was like, it's ending. They was like, we like your work ethic so much that we found money for you to keep you on part-time. Then I got a call from a bank after interviewing literally 37 times. A bank called, you was the only person to pass your exam, so we want to hire you to be a teller, and we're going to pay you $10 an hour. All in one day. One day, when literally that was the day, it was like, I don't think I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. Like, let me just end it and, you know, find a different way for my daughter to go. So I remember getting all of those calls, and I was like, what is this? Like, what is this? Is this a guardian angel? Like, what is this? And so I went to go get my keys from my apartment. Like, that's how everything was just lined up. And then I went to work, you know, fully excited, and I was just like, really looking at stuff like, man, this is a lamp. And then my office manager, she was reading a newspaper, and it talked about church and how there's a place for single moms. I said, I'm gonna go. And through that, that's when I really got saved and I found the Lord. And so through that, I realized he was with me at every juncture, and I had no idea what it was or who he was. And I'm sorry, I'm tearing up.
Wait, it's okay, try.
So like when my mom passed, before she passed, she was an alcoholic. And so she was involved in a hit and run. And so she had to go to jail. And during that time that she was away in jail, my father provided for us. And God showed us, like, we can, you know, work without her. Then she passed away.
Right.
Then even with my dad, I had 2 younger sisters. And so during the hurricane, his lung collapsed. And so he couldn't take care of my sister. So I got one sister while he got better. And then my older sister got the other sister until he got better. So when he did pass away, we already had that path of knew exactly what to do.
Amen.
So he doesn't shield you from hardships. But if you really be intentional and look around, he's giving you the tools that you needed. So from that, I realized if I can be quiet and just look and see what the tools may be, I have everything that I need through God.
Amen. What a word. I love it. I love it. Now, in closing words, what would you like to leave with my listening audience? Any closing words? Any profound statements?
Profound statements. So this is one I have carried with me in all of the dimensions of my life. Temporary sacrifices for permanent gains.
Okay.
And so what that meant, just even being back at FAMU, like I knew where I wanted to be. And if I just made a sacrifice, I made 2 years of sacrifices of not indulging in wants, but just really understanding my needs. It has prepared me to a life of abundance more than I can ever do.
Right.
If we make the sacrifice of just spending time with God in the morning, whatever your moment is, he will provide your path for you. And so if we just, you know, make sacrifices of just, you know, not being engaged in where life is taking us, but just sacrificing the time to be intentional about where you want to live and what you want to do, then it will provide you with prosperity. So I definitely leave that with your listeners.
Awesome. And last but not least, the final question. What is the best talk show in America?
So the best talk show in America is A Word with Pastor Webb.
God bless you, my sister. And to my listening audience, may God bless you real good. Go ahead, clap. Hey, y'all, I'm about to cry if you don't cry. I'm not going to cry. I can't cry. You crying for me?